Excuse me, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. The Montgomery County Board of Education combined meeting for Tuesday, May the 13th is now called to order. We will have the invocation led for us by Pastor Leon Allen, Associate Pastor, Weeping Willow Missionary Baptist Church. Welcome, Pastor.
Let's bow here for a word of prayer. Oh, gracious and eternal God, we thank you right now for allowing us to meet this opportunity and this day on behalf of our children in the Montgomery Public School and County. Father, we ask the Lord that you guide this meeting and allow it to be productive, for our children need a better education, and through these people it is possible. Father, we ask the Lord that you guide their steps, their minds, in every decision that they make. And Father, we ask the Lord that you will allow for our children to get the best education possible, so that they can be better citizens in this United States of America. We pray this prayer in your Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor. We do have a quorum present. Mrs. Ross is not going to be here with us today. May I have approval for the agenda, please?
Madam President, I move that we accept the agenda as printed. The revised agenda, thank you.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the revised agenda. Those in favor of that action, let it be known by raising your hand. Yes. Motion carried with 6 votes. David?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Recently, we learned that our Educational Technology Department was awarded a $25,000 grant to expand technology into schools. This grant was awarded to them by the Montgomery chapter of the Armed Forces Communications and Electronics Association. And at this time, I'd like to ask our Ed Tech Specialist, Carol Lamar, who wrote the grant, and Steve Blair, our Director of Ed Tech, to please come forward. Give them a hand as they come. Carol wrote a grant, which was selected to receive AFCEA's Chapter Initiative Award of $24,738. And they used this money to purchase 38 Dell tablets, 2 mobile cards, protective covers, and software for students and teachers at Davis Elementary and Carmel Magnet. Now, this is just one of several grants that you all have written over the years. And each time they do that, they're working to close that digital divide we have of some of our students. They're getting access to software, to technology, to applications that they may not get at home and in their communities. And just a little point of trivia. AFCA has been a long time and valuable partner with MPS, and we did a little math this afternoon and we calculated that probably over the past 5 years we've received over $200,000 in grant money from AFCEA, and that's much due in part to the people that are standing here before you today for being aggressive and pursuing that technology funding, because you know we don't always have the funds to do everything that we want to do, but you all are aggressively going out and getting those funds for our schools. So with that, please join the board in thanking them for all their hard work. Next, the board would like to recognize our Career Tech and Communication offices for winning several public relations awards for their efforts at promoting career tech. At this time, I'd like Jabril White, our Career Tech Director, to please come forward. Give her a hand. And Tom Foster, who is representing the communications department. I'll tell you why we did that. Recently, the CTE program received awards during the Association of Career and Technical Administrators Conference. And that conference is designed for career tech educators, administrators. I'm gonna do this so she can't hide. And that's an association that meets to discuss ways that school systems and administrators can promote career tech around the state. All right, now this is what you wanted to hear. Out of the entries that were submitted, well, entries were submitted by 20 school systems around the state, and even double that amount in schools. And we received 3 first place public relations awards in the categories of printed program descriptions, publication coverage, and overall PR. 2 second place awards in the categories of bulletin board displays and promotional videos, and 2 third place awards in the categories of CTE month promotional activities and TV coverage of CTE. And at this time, before Jabril sits down, I would like for CTE staff to please stand. Joining us is Ed Specialist, Dr. Yolanda Gordon, and Lynette Moore and Selena Kimbrough, who are not here. They're with us here. And the communication office staff, Tom Salter, myself, Sandra Thomas, and Molly Johnson.
And Rhonda did most of the 99.9% of the work.
Next up, last but certainly not least, our board would like to recognize our students, teachers, and staff who have won local, state, and national recognition through PTA. And I don't know if many of you all know this, but we had over 50 students this year win at the local, state, or national level, which I think is something that's very commendable. And joining us tonight for this presentation is Paula Lyman. She's going to be our Vanna White. Come on, Paula. First, I want to recognize our National PTA Reflection Honors. From Floyd Middle Magnet, we have Shay Straw, who earned first place in the visual arts category for the middle school division. BTW Magnet High School student Tiffany Vite, who won first place in the visual arts high school division. And their parents are here tonight. Parents, if you would please stand. And Rachel Dudley is here. And from Floyd, is the Floyd teacher here? But Vince is here in the upstairs, so he's there to support her. Both of these ladies' artwork will be on display at the U.S. Department of Education in Washington, D.C., which is very and we've been very fortunate in this competition to have had several students have their artwork on display. Many of them are from BTW and some of our other schools, but so this is quite prestigious, not only for them, but for us. Okay, thank you. Next, we're going to call our state PTA award winners, and this year we had 2. We had Morning View Elementary's Tiffany Sissom, who received the Outstanding State Administrator of the Year. Tiffany. Next, we had Forest Avenue's Francis Miller, who received the Outstanding State Educator for Elementary. And while they're up there, these ladies also won the County Educator of the Year for Elementary, so they have 2, I believe, in there. Well, no, I think it's all. But I just want to recognize that. It's the same paper. We want to recognize that they also won not only at the state, but at the county level as well. So it's always good to have 2 groups say you're outstanding. Each year, the Montgomery County Council of PTA recognizes outstanding teachers on the teacher support staff and administrators on the local level. And so I'm going to call those names now. The County Council Educator of the Year is Coleman Woodson for the middle school division, and he's at Floyd Middle Magnet. County Council Educator of the Year for the high school division was Milton Williams from BTW. And his principal is here, Question Scott. Okay, then we had our County Council Support Staff Person of the Year, Phyllis Bozeman, who couldn't be with us, but her principal, Kenyatta Miller, is here. Thank you. And the County Council Support Staff Person of the Year was Sage Williams from Floyd Middle. And these are all of our county council and some of our state PTA outstanding educators, support staff, and administrators. That's it. Is Chan Kim here from Forest Avenue? Okay, and last but not least, we'll have a special presentation by Character Carter.
I'm pleased to be here on behalf of Character Park and Mrs. Pam Morgan from Abigail County. So I'm making a presentation for Character Park. This year we awarded several schools many grants. These are the last 5. We awarded some at the last board meeting, so this is the remaining 5 that we wanted to recognize. And principals, you may come up too, please, if you'd like to do that. The first mini grant I'd like to highlight is the Bear Exploration Center. Liz Hill is the principal and Sue Ann Reynolds is the parent coordinator. Their mini grant was called the Postman Project. Very quickly, I'll read a little something about it. The Postman Project was a one-week unit designed to help students examine prejudice and intolerance in order to find ways to promote justice and understanding. The project was structured to allow half of the students on certain days to be treated better than other students in the class. On certain days, the even number of students were the top dogs and were allowed to go first, go to computers, sit at the talking table at lunch, and various activities. On those certain days, the odd number of students became the second best, wearing close down his or her study uniform status. They had to be masked and learn, no computers, no free time. Reflective journals were kept daily, recording feelings, insights, questions, and discoveries throughout the week. Roles were changed after 2 days, thus allowing students to be both top dogs and second best. Class discussions were held to reveal feelings of how it felt to be top dog and second best. As a culminating activity of the Close View Project, the living documentary entitled Paper Clips was watched and discussed. The film captured how students respond to lessons about the Holocaust and how a committed group of students and educators provided hope to countless others around the globe. As an outcome of this project, students came up with suggestions of how they could reduce prejudice and intolerance and how they can make a positive difference in the world. And that is Bear Exploration Center. Is anybody here from Bear tonight? Okay, good. Thank you. Downey Elementary, raise your hand. Emily Little and Emily Crawford. This was called the Ladies First and Gentlemen's Club. The purpose of the Ladies First and Gentlemen's Club is to help transform girls and boys into ladies and gentlemen. This is a leadership mentoring program for girls and boys recommended by their teachers who could benefit from smaller interactions with positive influences. The clubs meet weekly. The members are expected to dress appropriately each week. Ladies are to wear khaki pants or skirts with a white blouse. Gentlemen are to wear khaki pants, a belt, white shirts, and a tie. The clubs are geared toward increasing student engagement and motivation through relationship and career building, role models and mentors, and service to the community. It's important that these young ladies and gentlemen understand what they look like, dress like, and speak like as a representation of them, their parents, and their community. Thank you, Gillett Elementary. The next meeting grant is Dozier Elementary. Annie Spooner and Dee Robinson, your representative. Theirs was service leadership. Dozier Elementary wants to teach their students that leadership is not just a philosophy, it's a practice. This service leadership project will teach students that leadership involves listening, having empathy, and developing awareness of others and their needs. Each grade level will be challenged to select an agency with which to work. Each grade level will work with this agency throughout the year, determining how often to help with projects, weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Working with agencies and focusing on their needs will help promote respect for others, self-respect, compassion, generosity, and kindness. Thank you, Debbie. Forest Avenue Magnet, Sarah Dunn, Principal, and Jill Anderson, Character Coordinator. Their project's called We Are Family, M-A-M-I-L-Y. Forest Avenue is implementing a service learning project. Each grade level has adopted a charity or organization to focus on. Students will be engaging in learning services so that by the time they are in the 5th grade, they will know many aspects about 6 different areas of giving and serving. Some of the agencies or programs which have been selected include Fireman Appreciation, Homeless Shelters, Animal Shelters, and Child Protect. Thank you for accepting. And the last meeting award goes to South Lawn Elementary, Tamara Winston Principal, and Kimberly Taylor Character Coordinator. Their project is called Be a Buddy, Not a Bully. South Lawn Elementary will be focusing on positive discipline through this project. The council will reinforce behavior management activities to promote positive behavior in and out of the classroom and on how to be respectful and responsible. An anti-bullying rally will be planned for grade levels to post their positive behavior slogans and posters throughout the hallway. This rally will celebrate good character and positive behavior. So thank you so much to the 5 schools who received many grants. They've already received their money and already completed these projects. Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda, public comments. Ms. Brown, are you here? The next person on the agenda is Ms. Karen Jones. Ms. Jones?
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
Everyone here, good afternoon. I come for Truth and Justice Tuesday. Board members, I am an advocate, and I work with parents, specifically of the special needs group, and the war on advocacy has begun. Parents are being told not to respond when I call or the parents call. Whenever I email with the parent's approval, I always scan the parent's signature, as well as the letter that tells them who I am with both email addresses and contact information. I wish that it was a way that we could CC you board members so you all know what's going on, because there's not enough characters in the MPS website. It's just like 155 characters, and it's not enough for us to attach anything in that little box. But from various MPS employees, we've been told, advocates, that not to respond to Karen Jones and the other advocates. A parent just called me this morning, Ms. Allen, saying that you wanted it to be hand-delivered. Well, the board policy, page 25 of the grievance procedures, does not say bring it to this office. They're playing with words like it must be in writing. Type writing is a type of writing. Handwriting is a type of writing. Manuscript is a type of writing. So let's not get picky. These children are losing days because of appeals. We are recording these due process meetings and the meetings that when we go up to the principal, you said on your website that you are an advocate for children. and I believe that. But nothing and no one is standing for these children. Several violations of the IDEA laws, 504, section 504, and the ADA laws are being violated. The on-board policies are being violated. Most employees don't even know Alabama Code 290-8-9, which is special needs. Levy making, Christie consent decrees are not being upheld by the Montgomery Public School System. The Basilone Settlement Agreement is not being upheld by Montgomery School System. The compliance officer, Ms. Sophia Johnson, we recorded the meeting at Carver High School. We gave the correct address. Things are being mailed to old addresses. Mr. Mack, we reported him. He stole students 2 rings. Mr. Porterfield, I told you
You're not
last week.
supposed to use names, please.
Okay, well, I told you last week, Mr. Porterfield.
We don't want you to use names.
I'm talking about Mr. Porterfield. Oh, you saying don't use the board member's name?
Don't use anyone's name in your address to all.
Okay, the District 6 board member was given, a board member was given the information, and you said that you would contact the parent. And so, the parent has not heard from you in over a week. Equal treatment, equal participation is not being upheld. Our due process rights and civil rights are being violated as advocates. We are federally protected under the ADA laws as advocates. So we want you all to model behavior. The school student board approved code of behavior, grievance procedures is biased for learning disabled students versus gifted students. Everybody works on gifted students quicker than the learning disabled students, but all of them fall under the same umbrella as special needs. The special needs director last week beckoned for an advocate to bring it on and said, we are requesting for the video that you all are withholding. We came down here for the video, which was not given to the parent. And I called the police because Mr. Forte,
You're calling names again here,
he's not on the board.
but he's a part, you're saying no names, please.
Ms. Jones, you can't use employee names, you just have to say.
A person.
generalization.
Okay. Well, we, yeah, so anyway, we need these videos because it will show, and the recordings that we have does show what I'm saying is the truth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
I need to respond because when.
Mr. Porterfield, let's know.
Porterfield, please.
Let us know. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What's the next item on it?
I'm going to that right now. I have one citizen that signed up to speak, Ms. Rita Fitzgerald. Can you take the mic, please, ma'am?
Hello. My name is Rita Fitzgerald. My son is in MTech. He's a 10th grader. We signed up at MTech for academics and trade under one roof. I'd like to ask the board members to reconsider turning MTech into a trade center and ask you just don't know what a difference it's made to some of the children. Their self-esteem, their confidence, their grades have risen so high with just this little bit of help from this school. My son in particular has soared. His self-esteem, his confidence, his grades. This is one of the most magnificent programs the Board of Education has ever put in place with the trade and the academics under one roof. I'm going to ask you to get happy with me because I don't want to be a house without a roof. And I implore you to please look at the positive side of having everything under one roof. It really makes a difference to a lot of children. It has made a big, tremendous difference to my child. And I would like to encourage you to look at all aspects before you make a decision. And that's all I have.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
next item on the agenda is receipt for information. Superintendent?
Judge Reed, I appreciate Judge Reed's keeping his ears and eyes open for opportunities to support the system. He has a home run of an idea that I can't wait to see to come to fruition for the board's eventual approval. A debate program in our middle schools. And it can only serve to help our students become greater communicators, debaters, more self-disciplined. So we're excited to hear Judge Reed today on this topic.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I want to thank Chairman Eleanor Dawkins as well as the Vice Chair Helen Sellers, as well as all the other board members who are here. Certainly, I'll be remiss if I don't give special attention to my junior high counselor, Ms. May Breyer.
We'd be in trouble.
So people think you tough down here, they should have seen that posted. And that's what we need, that tough love. And so I think I'm part of the product of all the hard work that you all put in so many years ago. But certainly a proud member of the alumni of the Montgomery Public School System, having matriculated Vaughn Road, Cloverdale Junior High, as well as Jefferson Davis High School. It gives me great pleasure to be here before you, and certainly thanking you and all the staff and all the administrators and so many of the pieces of the puzzle who really helped make this system go. As a county official, I don't get a chance to get over here as much, but certainly I recognize and understand the work that you do is so integral to the success of this county. And I thank you for what you've done, both that's seen and for the many hours you spend that's unseen. And so that's why I approached superintendent and chairman about seeing what I could do, seeing how I could help, as opposed to just coming with ideas or thoughts of what I thought needed to happen and not having any background that you all do and not knowing what you know. I tried to think of a way that I could assist and really add some value to the system. And so I thought about the debate program because I was talking about it with some advisors that I have on different things that were going on. We were just kind of bouncing some ideas off one another. And so I thought that it would be something that we could really bring to MPS that would really add to many of the offerings that you present today. But for those in particular who are not in sports or who are not in drama, who are not in choir, but maybe have a particular skill or particular passion. And many of you may have seen the movie The Great Debaters, starring Denzel Washington, about the collegiate debate team at Wiley College. And I think that we have some great debaters here. And those debaters don't just start in college. Those debaters start very early. And we have some of those programs here at the independent schools here in the county. And I think we even have that at Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. But we don't really have it in the middle schools. And so I want to partner with MPS to start this program because I think it will benefit students, and I think it's a worthwhile opportunity. If this proposal is accepted by the board, we will become the 20th league in the country and only the second in the South, New Orleans being the first. I think it will serve as a great demonstration program for the state of Alabama, as well as neighboring states, and drawing on 13 years of experience by the public debate program, which builds sustainable, low-cost, rigorous programming in middle schools. Some other cities that have the public debate leagues are the District of Columbia, the aforementioned New Orleans, Compton, California, as well as districts in Alaska. So there are other places that already have it. I think joining this league and bringing together professionals who've done this before in similar size districts with similar demographics is something that would be great for this school system to have, in particular the middle schools, because I think quite often, at least in the public, not saying here in the meetings and hear what you all do, but I think in the public, the focus tends to be on elementary schools and then the high schools. And the middle schools kind of get forgotten about, I think, in the grand scheme of things. So I think this is something that would really be a great benefit. And I want to really illustrate and kind of talk about just a few of the benefits that I have. And I want to give out this sheet, if I can, just with a few talking points on it, so you can take a look at it. I won't try to go over all of that, but I do just want to highlight some of the benefits of the debate program. Debating is active learning that helps students master content and develop thinking skills. The debate helps teach students conflict resolution skills, while it also bundles Common Core mandated academic skills into a fun, engaging activity for the students. Debate students also outperform their peers on measures of critical thinking as it relates to various forms of testing. And debate is a preferred extracurricular activity of highly selective colleges. And those are just a few of the benefits, and not all again that are mentioned here. Now, I don't want you to think that I have all of the information that I plan to run this program, because I don't. I'm going to entrust Kate Schuster, PhD, who's the president of Schuster Consulting, and her firm conducts educational research, program evaluation, and program management for national and international clients. Dr. Schuster has trained more than 5,000 teachers in debate instruction in more than a dozen nations, and she's the co-director of the Middle School Public Debate Program, the nation's largest program for debating in middle grade, serving more than 25,000 students in class and contest debating. She's also the author of 10 textbooks supporting debate instruction in secondary and university instruction, and she's the current president of the Pan American Debate Association, and until recently was the head coach for the U.S. National High School Debate Team. She's also coached at 5 universities, including coaching students to national championships in 3 different debate formats. The cost of this program typically ranges from $1,500 to $2,000 per school, starting for the first year as a demonstration. We'd like to start at a pilot league with about 4 to 5 middle schools and then build from there. Most of the costs are for the use of a school on a Saturday. Any particular school that you all would be willing to open up, and it's really just more so, again, just to have someone there to open the school and to close the school for those debate tournaments, as well as for the cleanup. You also have some costs associated with trophies, as well as potentially a stipend for that debate coach. The best part, and I want MPS to share in this program, is that I will raise the initial seed money for this program. So I'm not coming to give you an idea and asking you to pay for it. At least in year 1, I will raise the seed money, and I don't think I'll have a hard time raising it once I start talking to people about this program. But again, I do want MPS to share in the program, because I think it's very important, as with anything, when we have a little skin in the game, we tend to want to make sure that it works a little bit better than if we are just giving something. So I really think this is a great opportunity, and the timeline for us that I would like to see us do this would be this summer to start raising the money, with us being able to kick off this program this fall with, again, 4 to 5 pilot schools. And Dr. Schuster has told me that she's willing to meet with the principals tomorrow. She just needs to know where and when. And if not tomorrow, then whenever you all would like for that to happen. And in conclusion, again, I know that we have great students in our middle schools. I want to be a part of trying to give them an outlet and trying to give them a program that will not only help them in life, but will help them in school and will help them through their middle school years as well as through their high school years. And so if I can be a part of making that happen, I want to do that. And at this time, I'll take any questions from the floor that you may have.
Just want to comment to you, Judge Reed. We did talk with Dr. Schuster, and she is out of town and will not be able to meet with us during tomorrow's principals meeting, but we will schedule something for her. I'm totally excited about this, and it's just amazing to me that she actually lives right here in Montgomery. So we're just excited to be recipients of this opportunity.
Well, that's great. And one of the things I told her when we first talked about it last fall was that she didn't have to fly all over to kind of implement the program. And I thought that you all on the board would be behind it, and I thought it would be something that you would be for and be supportive of. And so she's really looking forward to it, really wants to do something close to home. I think it's good for Montgomery to be the person to stay with it. I don't think that's going to be lost, because she's been approached by other our school districts to do it, and in particular, the past few months, I've been able to just kind of sort of hold off on that. So again, I just really think this will be a great program for schools as well as for the students and the parents involved.
Board members, are there questions?
Not questions, just comment.
Ms. Bryant first.
I'm just saying, knowing, our Judge Reed as I do, he has the Midas touch. And if this is a project of his, it will be successful. Anything we can do to help, just let us know.
Absolutely, thank you.
Ms. Porterfield?
I just want to tell him that I appreciate him looking into that and bringing it to the board. And certainly, if there are some others out there, as far as the arts go, then if you can find some other programs that we can.
I'm sure we're gonna give for some miles, but you're doing.
Or if you can find some other entities out there that would be interested in bringing arts to the system, we certainly welcome that.
Well, you know what?
Appreciate you.
I'm glad you said that. And I won't start it now because I know my time is up, but I do have some other ideas, so I look forward to coming back before the school board to talk with you all about some of those. You got to partner with me, so whatever I can do, I'll do. Just call me when you need.
I'll probably run across.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the agenda. Lanier zone update, Ms. Cook.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm excited to be here to talk to you about the Lanier Zone and what we've been doing in that zone. The Lanier Zone is composed of the following members, and I'd like to recognize any Lanier Zone team members. If you're here, would you please stand? Thank you. I appreciate the time and the effort that they put in to working with the Lanier Zone schools. The schools that are zoned for Lanier include Crump, Davis, Floyd, Johnson, Nixon Elementary, Baldwin Academic and Arts Magnet, and Bellingrath Middle, Lanier High School, Loveless Academic Magnet Program, and Montgomery Technical Education Center. And if you're a principal from one of those schools, I'd like to recognize you as well. Both the zone team members and the principals have been working collaboratively. I asked the principals to send me some photos of things that they would like for me to highlight to you that are going on in their school. The first school we have is Peter Crump Elementary with Randy Shaw as the principal. And Mr. Shaw wanted to highlight these PAL students who have grown a flower garden and they're out tending to their garden. He's also very excited that a new computer lab is being put into Crump Elementary School. Here we have a 4th grade class that is showing off their AR Master t-shirts. And lastly, we have a Title I tutor who is working with some struggling readers in a small group section. Floyd Elementary is led by Dwayne Berry, and Mr. Berry wanted to show his students who dressed as their favorite book characters during Dr. Seuss's week. He also wanted to highlight the Honor Society and all the students that are in it this year. Seth Johnson is led by Miss Felisa Dotson, and Mrs. Dotson sent in photos to highlight the book fair that took place throughout the school during the National Library Week. Also, they had a dairy farmer bring a dairy cow out to the school and discuss with the students milk production, all the way from the dairy cow straight to the lunchroom. And finally, a group of 1st grade teachers are leading their colleagues in professional development and sharing the learning that they have received. E.D. Nixon Elementary School has interim principal Marcus Roberts leading it. And Mr. Roberts wanted to highlight all of his students' excitement, and they wanted to show you that they are ready, excited, and going to do wonderfully on the ACT Aspire. He also included the building leadership team working on their 30, 60, 90-day plan, which is a response to the concerns that were found in the state audit. And so the leadership team was working on ways to address those concerns.
Baldwin Academic and Arts Magnet School led by Jeanette Wright, principal. And since they have academic and arts, we have both. Mr. Porterfield will be happy to see the arts section. We have the Christmas guitar concert. And right here in the center is Mr. Fowler Askew. And he and his partner David Kim created this robot you see right here for a competition. At the state competition, they earned a gold medal in shock value, which is an electronics and circuitry event. Over here we have a group of 8th grade students wearing their medals that they earned from the Alabama Council for Technology and Education, ACTE, Regional Technology Fair. And the first 2 students, Erica Gage and Jalen Holt, went on to the State Technology Fair and earned 3rd place in hardware and robotics. In the bottom corner, we have the dance students performing at their annual recital. And the final picture is the Math Counts team, which placed 1st at regionals and 4th overall at the state competition. Bellingraph Middle School is led by Mr. Ibrahim Lee. And Mr. Lee wanted to highlight these students who are participating in the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics project at Alabama State University. These students are students who display positive behavior. At Bellingraph, if you're displaying positive behavior, you earn Bellingraph Buck. And these students earn 15 or more Bellingraph Bucks to be able to participate in a field trip to Tuskegee University. And the bottom picture is from the Black History Month celebration at Bellingraph with Congressman John Lewis and Congresswoman Terry Sewell. The students who are dressed in black with the ties are the Emerald Ambassadors from Bellingraph. Lanier High School is led by Miss Cynthia Tucker, the interim principal. Ms. Tucker forwarded me a photo from Mr. Ken Spears' English class. And in this photo, he's leading a lesson on contextual clues and vocabulary. Next, we have Shadeja Hood Moss, the battalion commander at the rank of lieutenant colonel in the Lanier ROTC. Down here, we have a photo of a student in the Law and Public Safety Academy learning about turnout gear. And finally, the group photo of the Lanier ROTC drill team at Nationals. Next, we have the Loveless Academic Magnet Program with Mary George Jester as interim principal. In the first photo, we get to see Miss Jester congratulating George Lash on being named Student of the Month. In this photo, we have 2 students who are performing Showing Our Other Side, the annual LAMP Performing Arts venue. Many of LAMP's students come from Baldwin, and so they had a taste of the arts and found an interest in it, and this is a great way Miss Jester allows those students to display their artistic talents. We have a group of students in an AP chemistry class who are performing an experiment, and as of April 30th, LAMP students have won over $11,789,180 in scholarship money. They had 9 National Merit finalists and 4 National Achievement finalists. Montgomery Technical Education Center is led by interim principal Miss Lillian Sanders. And Miss Sanders sent in this first photo of advertising design technology students, Adrian Bernie Lacey and Jared McDuffie. Both were honored at the 2014 Ability Counts Poster Journalism Awards Luncheon. Here we see Miss Sanders sharing a fist bump with Nicholas Yind for winning. His Christmas card design was the winning design. We have a robotics display here in the middle at the Career Tech Education Partnership Luncheon. And lastly, we have a group of students in the Advertising Design Skills USA class, and every year that class adopts a family for Christmas. And these are the gifts that they purchased and wrapped in preparation to give to the family. And let's go back to the last elementary school, Davis Elementary. And Miss Jacqueline Campbell is the principal at Davis. And first we have a group of kindergarten students that are engaged in small group independent reading activities. Over here we have RTI Classworks. The music specialist, which is this young lady here, is monitoring students for intervention using Classworks in a lab setting. And some of us from the zone were lucky enough to sit in some data meetings with teachers. This was a data meeting, and the teachers there are presenting their data, They're highlighting the successes of their students, and they're also pointing out areas that need some concentration and talking about how they're going to concentrate in those areas to bring those areas to success. The reason I saved Davis Elementary School for the end is because the zone team actually is involved in a learning unit, and in that professional learning, we spent one day out in the field at a field experience. We went into a school, and in that school, we were looking for evidence of the college and career readiness standards and of their implementation at that school. So when we were in Davis, some of the evidence we found was outside of every classroom, there were posters, and the posters were telling us what the essential question was, what was the priority standard that was being addressed, as well as the supporting standards that were being addressed. So that when we walked into any room, we knew exactly what was supposed to be going on in that room at that time. Also, on classroom doors, we found these top two posters, and the top poster shows the paradigm shift that an educator must go through to move from program-based instruction to standards-based instruction. And the poster on the right is the 5 absolutes of the college and career readiness standards. So these were displayed on the inside of the classroom door because they were expecting students to relate to them. On the bottom, this is some student work on the outside of the classroom, which again showed examples of college and career readiness standards. I'll just do the first one with ladybugs. This is a kindergarten standard. And it says, I can understand addition by putting together and adding to. And the other one's example of subtraction. So if the students know the standards that they're addressing as they complete their work. As we continued walking through the hallways, we found bulletin boards throughout. And each of these bulletin boards, again, address different standards. So the students are just constantly being exposed to these standards, whether they're in their classroom, whether they're in the hallway, wherever it is that they might be. And as we got to talking about what we had found with the zone team, some of us wanted to bring out that we also found evidence of strategic teaching. Strategic teaching was thought to have been implemented throughout the system. However, we have found that there are some pockets where that's not the case. And we were excited to see this evidence of strategic teaching taking place at Davis. We have before strategies, during strategies, and after strategies. And those are all strategies of strategic teaching, as well as TWIRL. And TWIRL is an acronym that stands for talk, write, investigate, read, and listen. And each student should be involved in twirling every day. And in conclusion, I would just like to let you know that in the Lanier Zone, we're working together to help our students succeed at higher levels. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you. Debbie, we thank you for your hard work. We thank zone team members and principals from the Lanier Zone. We appreciate all the work that you're doing.
The next item on our agenda is social studies textbook adoption.
Good evening. Good evening. You all have been provided with a report that identifies your district's decision on the social studies textbook adoption. If there are any questions and or concerns, I would be happy to address those at this time.
Board members, are there questions or concerns?
Thank you.
Ms. Shades, thank you very much. Attorney Perkins, payroll deduction law.
Madam Chairman, board members, I am going to briefly, I know I've given you the guidance, but I'm going to briefly go over for you all and for the public where we are with this payroll deduction legislation. This is referenced in Alabama Act number 2010-761. This is a 2010 act that has come back to life. It relates to state and local government agencies using government funds for political activities. And it's a really hot button topic right now in districts all around the state.
The existing law already prohibited employees of state and local government agencies from using government funds for political activities. However, the new law specifically addresses school boards in it and the roles that we play in using government funds for political activities. And the most significant change is the provision that prohibits covered employees, including school board employees, from arranging for salary deductions for membership dues. That is the hot button issue is membership organizations that do political activities being able to deduct their membership dues from the salaries of employees. The law prohibits that right now. And it defines, unlike the previous act, it defines what political activities are, and there's 7 definitions of that. Making contributions or contracting with any entities that have any form of political contribution, engaging in public opinion polling, paying for any form of political communication, any political advertising, phone calling, any type of, the wide range of political activities covered is very broad. Why is this law just now coming back up? Since it was enacted in 2010, as soon as this law went into effect, there was litigation. And I'm going to get to in a second, there is litigation right now around some of the pending issues with it. But for 3 years, this act was in litigation, and a federal court enjoined its enforcement. That means they made a decision that this law could not be enforced until all of the issues surrounding the law were litigated. Well, that litigation has been effectuated, that injunction has been lifted, and right now the act is in the process of being decided how to implement. So the question is, are payroll deductions still allowed? They are, but they are only allowed if 2 things happen. Number 1 is if the membership organization provides certification to our school system, to our board, that any deductions that are made through the salaries will not be used for any political activity. So whatever organization where dues is being taken out, they have to issue to us a certification that that money will not be used for any political activity. If they do that, we can continue to deduct it. The second part of their requirement is at the end of the calendar year, they have to provide a detailed breakdown of all of their expenditures and give us verification so that we can go through and verify that none of the money was used for political purposes. If an organization failed to provide us the certification or the report, they can no longer have the deduction taken out, not just for that period of time, but forever. They'll be forever banned if you have any violation of it. So, Alabama Association of School Boards, the Superintendent Association, ASBO, the Business Officials Association have all gotten together to give advisory guidance about this. That's what had been provided to you in the packets. What the issue now is timing. Do we stop the payroll deductions immediately, or do we stop the deductions at the end of the cycle? We have 2 extremes. One extreme is we want the deductions stopped today. The other extreme is we don't want you to stop them at all until this yearly cycle is up. Well, of course, this issue is in litigation right now. A suit has been filed in Shelby County already to make the immediate enforcement of this law mandatory. There was a hearing on this issue today at 1:30. The last word that I got on it is that the judge was not going to make the ruling from the bench. I don't blame him. Most judges won't do that in a situation as political as this one. So if that judge rules on the hearing that happened today that enforcement of this act is immediate and is mandatory, then we have to stop the deductions immediately. And I've already met with Mr. Glover, Ms. Wooten. We've already met and conferred about how we're going to go about this. So we have our plan together. Our recommendation that we have talked about is we're going to follow the recommendations of AASB, ASBO, the Superintendent's Association. The plan for those organizations is
there's more strength in numbers. The more we're doing the same thing, the easier this process will be. And Shelby County, instead of Montgomery County, seems to be the test location. So we'll see what happens with that litigation. I'm getting texts about it regularly. The latest update before we started the meeting was the judge wasn't going to rule today. So as soon as I hear something, of course, I'll be in contact with Mr. Glover and Ms. Wooten, the superintendent, and I'll do a memo to the board members just to let you know where we are. But we do have a rollout plan in place. We're prepared to do it immediately, or we're prepared to have a rollout plan where we allow any organizations to give us certification. We give them a time period for that certification. If they don't have it in by that time, then we will give them a time period as to what the date will be for the last deduction. We're also going to give notice to our employees. We're going to send a letter out to our employees advising them of what's happening. We're going to write a few details about what's going on to let them know, so that if they want to shift their deductions from their bank accounts instead of their checks, that they can do that as well. I'm trying not to get too deep into the nuts and bolts of the legal part of it, but I'm prepared to if you have questions. So, does anybody have questions?
Board members, do you have questions of Attorney Perkins?
Just keep us updated.
I definitely will. I definitely
You said
will.
you have a rollout plan, but they should be hit with this all at once, and you say you have a rollout plan.
It's the, if you look, it's the plan, the AASB plan that they're suggesting, is that by this week, we go ahead and send out the letters. And we had already gotten together on that anyway. But we do want to allow these organizations the opportunity to request certification, we want to request them for certification and allow them to certify to us.
Where does ADA and MCBOE fit into the thing?
ADA has I've met with Attorney Stokes, I've met with our local MCA reps, and I'm talking with them regularly. ADA is, of course, on the other end. Their preference would be that we wait to the end of the cycle, which I think is in August 31. Honestly, we're talking about a 2-month difference. We're talking about stopping August 31, July 30th, or June 30th. I don't think anybody's gonna, unless that court rules that we have to do it immediately, I don't think anybody's gonna stop today. So we're really just talking about a couple of months difference. We're shooting for what everybody is doing, like kind of in the middle, but I have talked with Dr. Graves personally, I've talked with Mr. Attorney Stokes personally, and I'm constantly in contact with our local AEA reps, and they're aware of what we're trying to do. I discussed it with them before I brought this, so we're as on the same page as we can get right now. I think our preference, honestly, would be to wait to the end of the cycle, just because it'll be a little bit easier on us, on everybody. But at the same time, I have to advise, consistent with what potential litigation could come, and it's happening all around the state. So they're picking people, people are being picked in various jurisdictions to file suits, and I would love for that not to be Montgomery. So I'm very serious. I'm working to get us as in the middle as possible, because both ends of the spectrum have motivation to file suit. And I'm working very hard and communicating with AASB and ADA to work a plan, to get a plan that's feasible for us, but that's also fair. So I am in communication with them. Any other questions?
Doesn't seem like it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
The next item, Assistant Chief Security Position, Mr. Dotson.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Allen, I come before you with a position that we're looking to enhance our security department, and that is the Assistant Chief of Security. Before I begin, I think you all can recall when Mr. Crew presented before you the state of security. I think it was the February meeting. I promise not to be that long, okay? As he was, but in speaking.
We're very thorough and everything now.
As you know, the security department has two objectives as it relates to building safety. And those objectives are to control the ability to enter our buildings and ensure a safe environment as we have our students and staff inside. We concentrate on those efforts to achieve those objectives, to keep intruders from accessing our buildings with less than desirable intentions. However, we do have unfortunate incidents that occur in our in-house that require us to facilitate due diligence to ensure that we are fair and everyone involved in the incident has been heard. Having said that, we concentrate about 80% of our time in building safety, security, those kinds of things. But obviously, another 20% is on internal investigations. And that lends itself to us having just one investigator that ties that particular person up with so much. This requires time-consuming investigation with only one internal investigator on hand. We would like to propose adding a second staff member to assist with investigation. This position will be that of Assistant Chief of Security. This position would assist with the workload as it relates to investigations, as well as assist the Chief of Security with supervision of staff. And as you have here, this is our current org chart, where you see the Chief of Security actually we have one internal investigator, and then they work with overseeing our security supervisors, then of course our guards, which we have about 60 guards. We have our K-9 person and a K-9 dog for drug detection. Then we have our security techs, which is about 4. All that encompasses what we do relative to security, cameras, door access, the whole 9 yards, in addition to background checks, of which this year alone we've done about 5,200. All that's into the security department. So needless to say, the workload is heavy at that point. What problem we find in talking with human resources is once we have someone placed on administrative leave, the time can linger that person's on administrative leave because we can't get to the investigation. We talk with districts, like districts, urban districts, to see what they were doing, and they have at least two investigators, one assigned to human resources, then one for the other incidents that would happen in-house. We're looking at something on that same level so that we can expedite once something happens, getting that investigation taken care of, and having the process work through so that that person can go back to work or whatever the case may be. If you would, Tom, let me see the proposed. The proposed would actually have the Assistant Chief of Security working, supervising basically this level with the Chief of Security, then still only supervising this group right here, but then also his area would also be articulating with MPD, the county sheriffs, fire department, EMA, those kinds of things that have to be in place in order to ensure that our security is from a holistic approach. So we just wanted to look at adding that particular position into the staff, into the org chart. We think would expedite, we'd actually save money or pay for itself in the time that we would have people off of administrative leave going through that investigation process. I'll entertain any questions.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Correct me. I thought I heard you say that you have two assistant chiefs of security. And on the left side here, you've listed, that's just one. Where's the other?
No, I only have one assistant. I said two supervisors.
You would just have one assistant chief of.
Yeah, what I'm proposing is one assistant chief of security.
Oh, okay, I thought you said something about in-house and then human resources.
No, well, once we already have one investigator. The assistant chief will do investigations as well. So that way, one can support human resources, the other can support what happens in our building.
I'm kind of wrong a bit here.
Somebody else.
One works with human resources.
Well, we're primarily with human resources.
Primarily.
Right.
And the other, what's that position?
That's
in-house.
That would in-house, when I say in-house, these are incidents that happen in the school between students, between teachers, those kinds of things that we have to
What was
investigate.
that title be of that individual?
You have an internal investigator. All we're gonna do is ask, this person would have investigator experience, they would investigate as well, in addition to supervising these people. Ma'am? I have them.
We already have one.
No, they're not on staff right now.
No, my concern is, and certainly, here we're talking supervision of these individuals. It would seem as though the one that is in-house would be able to, well, be on the same level as the one that's doing the intern, as relates to who they are, as relates to the lines of communication and the order of command. And that's what I was looking at, the order of command and line of communication.
And I think where we're getting, I think where the mix-up is that we're actually saying that this is not an investigator, this will be the assistant chief. One of his duties will be some investigation. This person here, all of his duties will be investigation. But this person will be able to support him when, or him or her, as needed, correct. But they'll also be doing supervision, assisting the chief with other things that will go on.
Are there other questions for Mr. Johnson? If not, thank you.
Next area I want to talk about is maintenance. One of the outcomes of both the SD, State Department of Ed audit and the district accreditation process was our need as a district to address substandard facilities with a preventive maintenance focus rather than a reactive nature, the way we currently do business. Currently, we hear something going on, we try to shoot out there and take care of it. We may not get it in time, it may linger for a period of time, those kinds of things. So we reviewed all the components of our maintenance department. This included analyzing, comparing data from work orders, doing credentials for all of our tradesmen, looking at the strengths and weaknesses of our current structure, as well as dialoguing with comparable systems and other governmental agencies to identify what best practices we could put in place with our limited funding. We decided on a 3-step phase to enhance our delivery of service. The first part is what we're talking about today, is that we're going to restructure the entire maintenance department in order to make sure that I have more local, I guess the word I'm saying is on-the-ground supervision, so that we're getting out and taking care of the work orders, to make sure they're completed in a timely manner and we've done properly, and also to make sure that the supervision is there. Currently, this is your current org chart. All of our staff is reporting to the maintenance director. You have one maintenance supervisor who works with your grounds crews, and what we're looking at is adding another maintenance supervisor. We're adding in another foreman, if you would, and that foreman again would divide here so that they could have more in contact as these workers, as our actual workers are out into the field, working on work orders to make sure that they're done in a timely manner. I think one of the things we had from our accreditation process was they listed the amount of work orders, the number of work orders we had still open, which means that we couldn't get to close. And that means that we weren't facilitating. So this would allow to ensure that that's taken care of. What we would do is our trade people over here would actually still report to the maintenance director. And you have your HVAC, your plumbing, and your electrician. The second phase that we'd like to do is that then we would go ahead and contract someone to come in and begin to look at all of our job descriptions in maintenance to ensure that to get them in line with their credentials, as well as give us something succinct and seen and objective in the level of what we have our people in. We have a system, unfortunately, where we not exactly have objective and how people are ranked, whether they're level 1, 2, or 3, and we're aware of that, and we've relayed that to the board on several occasions. And this is a way to get in and begin to mitigate that, so that there's something objective in what level people are. Like for instance, by HVAC, I have 3 different levels. I have a level 5, a level 4, and a level 3. But there needs to be a succinct way of, say, defining why this person is level 5, why that person is level 3, or whatever the case may be. We've got to get that done. That would be the next phase. The third phase, which would be, we begin to go ahead and look at the staff that we have and get more into preventive maintenance, which means we begin to take all of our entire staff to make preventive maintenance crews. They would have a schedule that they would go out and spend a week at each school. That schedule would be done prior to school starts, so the school would know when they would be there, and they would be able to do all the preventive maintenance in that school. A lot of districts are going to that. Now, your immediate emergencies, you would contract or outsource those to actually do that. An air conditioning issue or plumbing issue that we can't get to, then you would actually do that. This, in turn, you would save money on the top end because you're keeping everything maintained. Our biggest problem is we don't maintain on a regular basis. So you have a air conditioner that'll go out, or you have roof leaks, or you have this, that, and the other. That's one of our biggest issues. And so we've got to get to the point to where we're doing the preventive maintenance in a correct way. That will be the third phase. Two other things that we're going to do in order to ensure that maintenance can focus strictly on maintenance. We're going to move the locksmiths up under the direction of security. So that would take another level off that this person will be supervised, so we can make sure we've got the people on the ground following up on what's happening in our schools. And also, we're gonna move the roof over to construction in the operations office. So that'll go in that particular part there, so that we can be more circumspect with our roofers, because you all know the roof leaks that we have, and we work, and a lot of times because we have these flat roofs in old buildings, but we got to have someone identified to work with those roofers, because a lot of times, unfortunately, we'll pay them, they'll go fix it, and it's still leaking, and we got to pay them again and again. So I know it's hard to find a leak, but we've got to have someone on our behalf watching that person and working with that person as well. So those are two things that we're going to do immediately. So then that's going to be the phase that we're actually going to get here. Yes, ma'am.
Question, not a question, but I am happy to see that you have come back to this. You had started doing this and you were pulled off of it. But now I'm happy to see that you are back to it, because we've had some issues with the different classifications and job descriptions and all of that. So that's a unique plan that we should have had.
We should have had preventative maintenance.
Right. The top of it says maintenance, and I'm very pleased, because if we're not maintaining, then we are gonna run into these problems that we're now seeing. And I want us to take off as much as we can off the schools and off the teachers, because they're the ones that are having to do that maintenance if we're not doing it. So, thank you.
I think the important thing that you're showing is you're placing controls in place, and that's important. Controls that you have.
Another important thing is the fact that we, from a facilities perspective, are in horrible state. And the only way we can fix it is to attack it. And we've got to attack in all the ways that you all have just suggested needed to have been done earlier. But we know we've got to do it. So thank you. It's a good story.
Hallelujah.
Mr. Dodson?
Yes, ma'am. Members of the board, you should have received a memorandum of understanding or an agreement from the Red Cross. What this simply is we met with the Red Cross, and they would like to utilize specifically our schools that are close to the interstates as a disaster relief shelter. And what that means is that if a situation were to happen, schools are closed, and as people were making it up the interstate, they would go ahead and utilize, say for instance, Carver High School, or maybe Goodwin, which is right off the interstate, as a shelter. They would go ahead and they would go in, they would mobilize it, they'd have cots, they do the whole 9 yards that you see in your agreement. They would take care of everything, then once school opens, of course, they would vacate at that time and we would begin at that point. They would compensate us for what was used, those kinds of things, but they would be self-sufficient in what they were doing. But they want to open that up and say we need to have shelter. Now, we're like third on the totem pole. They have churches that they'll go to first and so on and so forth. This is just an added insurance that they'd like to have in place.
All right.
Well, I know in the past, we've had, this place over at Capitol Heights, it was the community center next to Capitol Heights, and I know that they've used churches, so I love this idea, because I think it's good for our children to see that we are doing something to help others. And so, I personally, I don't see a downside on this, if they're gonna compensate us and help us, so.
Other questions, comments?
Is it my understanding in the contract that you would have an MDS person on hand while the shelter's being used?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They'll have a contact person. They would be in and out working with them.
I just understand, through our church, I've helped with this, and it's a great thing, but you also sometimes can have damage. So, we just need to make sure that we have MTS employees there that are the eyes as well.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is where?
Madam Chairman, Madam Superintendent, members of the board, I'd like to discuss items H and I together. They are related, if I may. In March of this year, Montgomery Public Schools submitted our funding year 2014 E-rate application. In the application for local phone service, NPS selected AT&T from the Alabama Joint Purchasing Program, or the ALJP, which is a contract awarded by the state. Contract number ALJP 2014-T-01 will begin July 1 and last for 3 years. There are 2 documents in your packet, the ALJP participation agreement and the E-rate rider. These documents have been requested by AT&T, so I'd like to explain those. I've been in consultation with Attorney Perkins and Mr. Rudolph in the purchasing department with these. The ALJP participation agreement states that NPS will abide by the terms of the ALJP contract and pay AT&T for services rendered under this agreement. It is recommended by Mr. Rudolph and Attorney Perkins that this document be signed by the superintendent. The second document is the E-rate rider. This document states that NPS will abide by the rules set by E-rate as regards to payment and funding. On page 2 of the E-rate rider, AT&T requests that we choose one of the 2 options regarding starting the services and commitment of E-rate funds. We're recommending option A, since we already have AT&T as our current service on a previous contract. Also, as a district, we pay for our telephone services up front, and then when we're funded by E-rate, we request reimbursement and get a check at the end of the funding year. And now that document has also been recommended that we signed by the superintendent. Any questions or comments, please?
You said what he recommended, what do you recommend?
Oh, absolutely, I recommend. They've done due diligence with this process.
I'm just thankful. I remember when I first got on board, we had some E-rate issues and it was rather frightening. So thank you for being on top of it and handling that.
Are there any questions, comments? You said we paid the bill up front?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we pay a monthly, we pay our AT&T bill monthly. And then when our funding comes through at the end of the funding year, I submit a form to E-rate, and then AT&T submits a payment, and then our discount is reimbursed back to us.
In other words, he's not waiting on the E-rate money until at the end of the cycle.
Yes, sir.
We pay all at once. The board was already taken care of. When he gets the E-rate money, then the money is paid to
You could take a seat.
Yes, I'm Teresa Deagle. I work with the examiners of public accounts. We're a state agency that audits all county boards of education within the state. Every year by the Code of Alabama, I'm required to present our audit report. I'm here to present the audit report for October 1, 2012 through 9/30/2013. We conduct our audit in accordance with applicable accounting requirements, which include generally accepted accounting principles, generally accepted auditing standards, government auditing standards, and OMB Circular A-133. We issued an unmodified opinion on the financial and federal side of the audit report. What this means basically is the good report. This is what you want. This year we tested for federal programs, the Title I program, special education, and ARA, the Recovery Act money for school improvement. There was no findings for the federal grants tested. We did, however, note the following matters related to local schools, and we've included them in our audit report, pages 58 and 59. I'm going to give you a quick summary of what those are. Finding number 2011-2 relates to inadequate internal controls for receiving of athletic events at Booker T. Washington Magnet School and Carr Middle School. Finding 2011-3 relates to inadequate controls for disbursements of funds at Booker T. Washington High School. And then finally, 2009-1 relates to inadequate internal controls for receipts issued by teachers at BTW and Carr Middle School. We included in the schedule of findings and report, findings and question calls recommendations to correct these findings. The superintendent prepared a corrective action plan. You can find that as Exhibit 14 in our audit report.
The audit report was released this past Friday, May 9th. You can obtain a copy of this on our website at www.examiners.alabamaspelledout.gov. Any questions?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
I like, 20901.
Yes.
Finally, you said BTW.
Yes.
You not meaning Belton Breath?
What's that? What you
She said you said page 59.
BTW. No, she said BTW.
She did say BTW, but I'm reading.
I'm sorry, what's spelling correct? No,
Thank you.
That was my error, I'm sorry.
What did she say?
I made an error.
I mean, yeah, I mean.
Hearing and hearing ain't
I'm trying to do the best I can.
It was my error. That's correct. Finding number 2009-1 relates to Bell and Grass Middle School and Carr Middle School. That was my error.
No problem.
Okay, so everything you were talking about was Bell and Grass, not BTW?
No.
Yeah,
That particular one was not.
Yes, if you turn to page 59 in your handout there, that's a detailed listing of the findings there. It talks about the schools. That was my error when I typed. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, I'm clear as well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Are there other questions?
Yes, I had two or three, but I'll let that go. But, on page 51, the terms of the board members, these years are not correct. If you all,
That was from the information provided by the superintendent's office.
no, it's not correct. What, Hill said, because we have the terms expiration, terms that expire at certain times, and these are not.
If the board member served during that time frame, October 1, 2012 through 9/30/2013.
Well, see, she's talking about this term up here, and see, they were members of the, they were part of the board.
No, I think Mary is correct, because what you're saying is you'll have 5 board members that will expire at the same time?
But we'll deal with the board, I mean, we'll deal with the city office with that. Okay, I think you need to pay attention to it because, I agree, 2 people instead of 6, it was 4 and all that, so this is gonna be a document, we can make sure.
On page 51, the expiration dates for the,
Terms of the board members.
yeah.
The Self, the Snow, and this Ross are all 28 cities.
So that's.
Say that again, please.
I'm sorry, you said 2018 or through 2016? We only have the current terms.
Yeah,
No,
I know, you're showing us a 4-year terms, and we actually have
6
6
years.
years.
Again, we asked for that information up front in our initial engagement letter.
We have to get a Attorney General's opinion on that.
We just make sure that we're writing an official document.
And that's not directed towards you.
No, that's not what he means. We just want to make sure that what we give you and other people is correct.
Are there other questions?
I'm just happy to see some of the others that were in here prior to this year no longer in here as indicators of some things that were happening. What did you say? Yeah.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda.
About a week and a half ago, we had a work session with Dr. Philip Cleveland from the State Department. And he shared some recommendations with us regarding our career and technical education direction. His information came after a thorough assessment of our program. And I'd like to say, if Ms. Fitzgerald is still here.
She's still here.
Yes, good. I appreciate the comments that you made. In our session, he too made comments in regard to the fact that he saw some good things going on at MTech with our program. What we did, Ms. Fitzgerald, in our audience, in our work session, was to take a look at what would be best across the whole district, for all of our students. And I realized that the current setting at MTech is smaller. We wanted to be able to make more available for all students. And that's why we are leading toward the decision that we are currently making. Whereas we will not have a high school setting if the board approves, we will have content area people involved in that setting. So teachers from high schools, especially in the area of math, will still be a part of. And as we see necessary, we'll make the adjustments as we go. But I just wanted to acknowledge your comment, and I do understand and I appreciate your candor about your request. Thank you. And if there are any additional questions?
I was out of town at the
Yes,
time
ma'am.
this was done. And this is basically what, Mr. Porterfield and I have been suggesting all the time, because you have, career programs at the various high schools, and I think Melissa said the same thing. If they transfer from one school to the other, then they may lose that career tech program that they were in. But if you have a career tech center, then they will still be able to graduate from their own high school where they left. They will be able to transfer their skills and still be able to maintain the career program that they were in. We begged for this, and I'm happy to see that, it's coming to fruition. But I guess you have to have.
Oh, my.
But anyway, anyway, I really applaud the group for doing this, and this is what we were pushing for. And the only thing I see after that is just show me the money that we can do. And when we vote on this tonight, it will be just for this phase of it, not that we're doing it unless we have the money. And I understand that because I was not here.
Voting on this, now you know that locations were a part of the document.
Right.
And in the session, we did talk about the move. So it's all a part of. I understand exactly what you are indicating, and we will have, they're working on that piece, of being able to show you a document that says this is our commitment. Our first phase is to get you to really adopt the concept of what it is we're talking about.
And then we come back,
Yeah.
what the money is available. Okay, I was not here, so I don't make clear of that.
Right.
Okay.
Ms. Price, what I think is so exciting is what, Dr. Cleveland was saying is that there are companies that they're willing, if they understand that we're on board for the concept, and they're on board to help us make that concept a
Right.
reality.
And we're gonna get some memorandums of understanding.
Hopefully more than
They're
that.
waiting on us to make a move.
When we make our
So if
move,
we make a move, then we can
see
count
what
on that
develops
support.
there. So you made that clear, what happened.
Yes.
So we just got to make indication that we are interested and we want to move forward with this.
Moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation on the Red Cross agreement. Those in favor, please let it be known by raising your hand. And the motion is carried with 6 votes.
I recommend the approval of the agreement for local phone services.
Madam President, I move that we adopt the recommendation of the superintendent.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt the recommendation of the superintendent on each seat. Those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carried with 6 votes.
I think there's a question, we skipped over.
We did.
Okay, we need to get that to
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
I was going from a different.
That's okay.
All right, I recommend the approval of the social studies textbook adoption.
Madam President, I move that we approve the social studies textbook adoption.
Has been moved and seconded that we approve the social studies textbook adoption. Those in favor, let it be known by raising your hand. Motion carried with 6 votes.
I recommend the approval of the funding year 2014 E-rate rider.
Madam, go ahead. Madam President, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation of funding year 2014 E-rate rider.
It has been moved and seconded that accept the superintendent's recommendation on item D as in David. Those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carried with 6 votes.
I recommend the Career Tech Center proposal.
Madam President, I move that we accept superintendent's recommendation for career tech. Center.
Robert, and his second.
Has been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation on item E as Edward. Those in favor, let it be known. Motion carried with 6 votes. Item F.
I recommend rezoning for Highland Avenue Elementary and Highland Gardens Elementary.
Madam President, I move that we adopt, the superintendent's recommendation.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept the superintendent's recommendation on item F as in Fred, the rezoning of Highland Avenue Elementary and Highland Gardens Elementary. Those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carried with 6 votes.
I recommend the revised personnel report, addendum 1 certified, addendum 1 support personnel.
Madam President, I move that we approve the revised personnel report, addendum 1 certified, addendum 1 support personnel.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the superintendent's recommendation on revised personnel reports, addendum 1A certified, addendum 1 support personnel. Those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion is carried with 6 votes.
May I make a couple of presentations?
Yes, you may.
Okay. I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Michelle Harris, former assistant principal at Del Rita Elementary School / Chisholm Elementary School, as the new principal of Del Rita Elementary
Welcome, we're so happy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'd like to thank Superintendent Allen and the board members for this opportunity to lead with what I think is one of the best schools in the country. And I have some big shoes to fill, but I look forward to the challenge.
Ms. Allen, could she introduce her family?
Yes, absolutely.
This is my youngest son, CJ Harris. This is my oldest son, Austin Harris. Future will be attending Faulkner University in the fall. This is my husband, Stephen here.
I'd also like to introduce to you Dr. Antonio Williams, who is being named tonight as a contract principal at Lanier Senior High School.
Thank you, Margaret Allen and Board for accepting me as the recommendation tonight. I'm very excited about returning home. I'm a graduate of Lanier High School, and so I'm coming back home. I also had my first teaching opportunity at Lanier High School, so I'm very honored to be with you all. At the request of people who interviewed me, they told me to be very brief. I like to interview me. I'm not going to say any words tonight, but I do look forward to implementing a lot of change in Lanier. I hope to present a different Lanier High School and one to be very proud of in the near future. I do like to introduce my wife.
Yes.
Without anybody having to tell me. don't get in trouble. But my wife, who's a teacher here in Montgomery Public School System, Ms. Williams, if you'll stand so they can see how good we And we have two beautiful daughters together. We did not bring them because they would not have been still there. One attends Macmillan Elementary School and the other attends Hope Street Head Start program. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is an executive session. Person to be certified for.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I certify that we are going into executive session to discuss potential litigation and real property. We'll be in for about, maybe about 15 minutes, and there will be a vote.
It has to move in second, that we move to executive session for about 20 to 25 minutes. We don't feel time yet. There will be a vote when we return. Thank you.